Sometimes life doesn't give you what you want. It takes away what you've been holding on to. And at first, it feels cruel because you didn't ask to lose them. You didn't pray for distance. You didn't choose silence. You just woke up one day and something felt different. The conversations got shorter. The energy got colder. The replies came later. And the laughter stopped landing the same way. So you start asking yourself, did I do something wrong? Did I change? Was it all fake? Why is this happening? Here's the truth most people don't realize until they've suffered for it. Sometimes the relationship didn't fail. Your nervous system just stopped tolerating what it used to call normal. What if this isn't rejection? What if it's redirection? What if life is removing people? Not to punish you, but to protect the version of you that is being built next? Because leveling up is not just about money, or status, or forced positivity. Leveling up is an identity shift, a self-respect shift. And when that shift happens, your relationships have to either rise with you or fall away. So, if people have been fading, if you feel like you're outgrowing certain connections, it isn't random. It's alignment. It's your next chapter clearing space. It usually starts quietly. You notice your phone feels lighter, not because you're at peace, but because fewer people are reaching out. You stop getting invited to things you used to be invited to, or you get invited, and something in you says, "That's not me anymore." End quote. You sit with certain people and you feel off, like you're performing, like you're shrinking back into an older version of yourself, just to keep the connection alive. And that's what makes it confusing, because you don't hate them. Some of them are good people. Some of them were there for you. Some of them loved you in the only way they knew how. But now, when you leave their presence, you feel drained, or restless, or strangely guilty, just for growing. And sometimes it gets sharper. A friend becomes distant. A partner stops trying. A family member starts criticizing you for things they used to tolerate. And you spiral. Am I becoming arrogant? Am I too sensitive? Should I fight for this? Should I chase them? Because a part of you believes love means holding on. But life doesn't always grow you through addition. Sometimes it grows you through subtraction. And subtraction feels like loss until you realize it was also release. Here is a truth that explains so much. Relationships are energetic agreements, even the ones that seem casual. There's always an invisible deal. Sometimes the deal is healthy. I respect you. You respect me. We grow together. But sometimes the deal is unspoken. I stay small, and you feel comfortable. I overgive, and you feel secure. I accept crumbs, and you don't have to improve. I carry the emotional weight, and you stay unaccountable. And when you begin to heal, when you start setting boundaries, choosing yourself, speaking honestly, that old deal breaks. Not because you became bad, because you became truthful. And truth disrupts dynamics built on convenience. This is why some people disappear right when you start changing. Not because you're unlovable, but because the version of you they were attached to is no longer available. There's a psychological truth here. People often relate to their idea of you, not the real you. And if they benefited from you being predictable, anxious, pleasing, always available, your growth feels like betrayal to them, so they pull away, or they criticize, or they try to make you feel guilty for evolving, because your healing quietly exposes what they've avoided in themselves. And not everyone is ready to face that. Let's make it real. You stop replying instantly, and suddenly, you're acting different. You say no one time, and now you're too proud. You stop over-explaining, and they call you cold. You stop fixing everything, and the connection starts to collapse. And that collapse tells you the truth. Some bonds weren't built on love. They were built on access. Access to your attention, your emotional labor, your availability, your willingness to shrink. So, when you stop leaking energy, the people who depended on the leak will call it change. But it's not change. It's healing. And yes, this can hurt, because even misaligned bonds can feel familiar. And familiarity can feel like safety, even when it's costing you your future. Think of it like this. A tree doesn't grow by holding on to every leaf forever. There is a season when leaves fall, not because the tree is dying, but because it's conserving energy to survive and expand. That's what's happening to you. Life is pruning, removing what cannot grow with you. And pruning often looks like people misunderstanding your boundaries, connections fading without explanation, friendships that suddenly feel heavy, relationships that ask you to become smaller again, invitations that no longer match your spirit. This isn't life being dramatic. This is life being precise. Because the next version of you requires space, new relationships require space. New opportunities require space. A calmer nervous system requires space. You cannot become who you're becoming while carrying everyone who refuses to grow. Here is where most people sabotage alignment. They chase what is leaving. They demand closure. They send the long message. They over-explain their intentions. They beg to be understood because the ego hates uncertainty. The ego says, if they leave, it means I'm not enough. But your deeper self says, if they leave, I'm being redirected. And that difference is everything. Because when you chase, you teach your nervous system that you are not safe alone. You teach your heart that love must be earned through exhaustion. But your next chapter does not require begging. Your next chapter does not require convincing. Alignment doesn't ask you to perform. It asks you to release. So ask yourself, can I let them go without turning it into a personal failure? Can I allow space without filling it with panic? Because sometimes life removes people to show you how powerful you are when you stop outsourcing your worth. Let's get even clearer. If someone can only love you when you're smaller, that isn't love. That's control disguised as comfort. If someone disappears when you start healing, they were connected to your wound, not your future. If someone punishes your boundaries, they benefited from you having none. This isn't bitterness. This is maturity. Real peace comes from accepting what is, not wrestling reality into your preference. And if a connection is fading, reality is speaking. It's saying, this doesn't match where you're going. Life rarely shouts first. It whispers. It nudges. It makes the energy feel off. It makes you feel tired after certain conversations. And when you ignore the whisper, it gets louder. Distance, silence, endings. Not because you're being attacked, because you're being guided. Most people think boundaries are something you say, but the strongest boundaries are something you embody. A boundary is the moment you stop negotiating with misalignment. The moment you stop proving your worth. The moment you stop chasing reciprocity. The moment you stop overgiving to earn your place. And when you embody boundaries, something shifts. You stop attracting people who need you to be empty because they can't feed on what you no longer leak. This is why leveling up feels lonely at first. You're in a transitional season. You don't fit the old rooms anymore, but you haven't entered the new ones yet. And in that space, life is teaching you to become anchored, stable within yourself. not using relationships as your identity, because the people truly aligned with you will never require you to betray yourself. When you release what's fading, you regain your power. You stop checking your phone for validation. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head. You stop carrying emotional weight that isn't yours. Your energy comes back. And when your energy comes back, your intuition comes back. You start hearing your inner voice again. You start noticing meaningful patterns again. You start feeling present in your own life. And then life responds. New people appear, not because you hunted them down, but because your standards became clear. You start attracting connections that feel calm, reciprocal, clean, honest, spacious, safe. You don't have to audition for them. You don't have to over-explain. The relationship feels like breathing. And here's the key. When you stop clinging to what is leaving, you stop blocking what is arriving. Because your hands are no longer full of the past. So what do you do when this season begins? 3 grounded steps. Don't chase. Observe. Let the distance reveal the truth. If the connection only survives your effort, it was never stable. Bless and release. You don't have to demonize them. You can honor what was and still choose to move forward. Protect your new frequency, your new identity. Be mindful of what you consume. Music, conversations, memories. Anything that pulls you back into the version of you that suffered for love. This is the season where you build emotional insulation. Not walls, insulation. So you can stay warm in your own life without borrowing heat from relationships that cannot hold you. So if people have been leaving, if friendships have been fading, if certain connections no longer fit, don't panic. This may not be a breakdown. It may be a level up, because life removes what cannot rise with you. And what is meant for you will not require you to beg, chase, or shrink. Let them go. Not with bitterness, with clarity, not with anger, with trust. Some doors close because your life is too big for that room now. If this resonated, like and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for your alignment. And comment 1 sentence. I release what can't rise with me. Because words carry power, and your next chapter is listening.